Righty, welcome to Stockradar, Stocks on the Move for another week. Today is dated the 13th of March 2025. My name is Richard Lee and I manage the stockradar.com.au website for you. Well, interesting times. It looks like the US market's correction we had to have is probably underway at the moment. The tech stocks have come back a bit, so we have to endure that, and that's the way it is. Some markets go up and they go down. Okay, this is just part of the way the markets go, and we have to deal with this. We've had an enormous run the last couple of years. You know what the Dow looks like, and the S and the Nasdaq. You can also see how profits on our portfolios have been fantastic over the last, since March 23, basically. We've had some huge runs, so we've got to clip a few profits at the moment. We've backed a few good ones in CBA, Commodities. We've knocked back our stock pick count the last couple of weeks. So we'll go through all that today just so you can see. But it's nothing to worry about. It's what markets do. We just deal with it appropriately as we go. Okay, also live on gate 1 at the Grand Prix, by the way, so if we hear these cars going round and round in a second, I'm sorry I can't do much about that. I'll try and get this video done as quickly as we can. I'll probably wander over there later on and have a look at some of these fantastic cars go around. Anyway, so back to the markets. So we've locked in some good profits recently. We've taken a few small losses of more recent entries, but really the ledger is in the positive side, which it always should be, because there's been some fantastic runners over the last year or two for us to capitalise on. And CBA and Prometheus are just two of those ones. You could talk about technology one. There is quite a few of them, but it's been a great run for us, and it really is, as I said before at the start of this. Cool heads make cool decisions. Fundamentals not working for you, especially with CBA. We've really exceeded expectations on the upside. I'm going to have a look at that chart a bit later on. So, really the prices they exceed to the upside, they exceed to the downside. Fundamentals are all well and good, but they don't really relate to the price that much, and they don't help us a lot. So that's why I look at charts and look at price action. Okay. The stock pick count is down. Okay, so we'll have a look at the, firstly we'll go to the top 10 ratings for the moment. And this is of last Friday, okay, so we've had a bit of a topsy-turvy week, so some of these won't be still rating top 10 at the end of this week. However, Paris is doing well. Qantas has come back pretty sharply, so that's probably near its stop at the moment, so we'll watch that one. Ramelius has had a bit of a big dump, so we managed that one out, quite likely this week. Sandfire is an interesting one, a bit of a copper taint there, and we're going to have a look at a copper chart later on, which is looking quite interesting at the moment. We know what's happening, this big arbitrage that's going on between the LME and the US at the moment, so that's sort of been pushing the copper price up quite a bit. They all stockpile it over there. So we've got A2M, which still really does what it wants to. It does it goes to its own drum really most of the time. Brambles has been a really steady performer, done really well. It's a surprise us all. Then we've got Capricorn Metals. These are the goldy ones, Evolution, Gold Road, and then Medibank Private, which also come back a little bit, so we've got to manage that one as well. So a mixed group there, but again, life is life, fact is fact. We've got to deal with all these things appropriately. No panic, cool heads make the cool decisions, so we're going to go through that today for you, okay? Stock pick count is down 10 on Monday, last Friday, down to 48 picks from the whole group of 182 stocks and ETFs. The stock pick count is down to 39 now, 156, so we've knocked out a few there. And even the ETFs have come back a bit, 9 out of 26. So everything's been clipped a bit, going to a bit of cash, not a bad thing at the moment. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to go look at the overseas markets for you. Okay, firstly, we can now see no longer are we just going up and up and up. We've seen a little bit of a change here. The Dow's made a new low there, or looks like it's going to make a new low this week. We've got tonight to go and then tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens. But we've got some volume here. Let me just squeeze this up a little bit. So we've got some heavy volume here. There was some good buying here, okay, but we've now got the selling here, and the selling is now pushing the market down. So the buying is pulled back a little bit, okay. So that's a change, and we can see the momentum has been slowing for a bit throughout this pattern here. Now it's getting a little bit down on the downside there. Okay, the Nasdaq, well, this is also not such a good looking one. Again, fairly sharp, a bit of a rally last night, but we've seen some very, very heavy selling push this index down. So we're going to see some more correction on this one. How far it goes down, we don't really know these sorts of things. So it's like a stock, your stock goes off, you just wait for the market to come back down, find some support, you build your case for evidence of buying, and then before you buy again. So we just let these markets do their own thing. Banking a bit of cash, as I said, is not such a bad thing. Okay, so that's the Nasdaq. It's in a correction phase at the moment, as is the S&P 500. There's a fairly stiff resistance on all these indexes up at the R1 level here where it just couldn't get through. And now, as I say, the sellers are dominating and the buyers are withdrawing. So that's what's happening over there. So we just let this all go and carry on the way it is. And our market has been hit pretty badly. And I guess why? Well, because all of a sudden, as we talked about this, the banks have pulled out from their support in this market because everything else was pretty weak. The BHPs and Rios and Transurban's, all these big stocks. So now we're seeing the banks pull back. NAB's pretty bad. CBA's come back a bit, and ANZ's not so good. Westpac's holding it pretty well, but this is what the result is on our index. So it may well come back to this the old high level down around 7,600 there, somewhere like that. So it's pretty sharp, this downward move. So we've got to be very careful as to what we do at the moment. Remember, buying a falling knife is not such a nice thing to do. So we just wait for things to happen. Now, we're not index players. We're stock-specific players. There's going to be an article in the next newsletter. I'm going to talk a bit about the index unaware thing. So really the index is the index. It's mainly the banks, or top 10 stocks make up about 48% of this index here. So that's what's really driving this down, Okay, so now we've got gold, which has been going pretty well. Still no real trouble there, a little bit of a corrective pattern, but there's no real problem there, no real evidence of any big selling. The momentum is still positive, the trend is still up, it's above the average, everything looks fine on gold. We've got copper. This is the interesting one now. It's hard to know whether this big arbitrage thing that's going on at the moment is really... They say it may go on for a while. And I'm looking at this chart here, which we've looked at for a while, and we know this big level we've got up here, up around the highs here at R1. If it gets through there, then we might have a bit more of a run there. And we know the copper stocks. I think Sandfire is one that's doing pretty well. Then we've got the BHPs and the Rios, of course, have got a lot of copper. And it's interesting that BHP, it's pulled back from oil, focusing more on copper and things like that. So it's not such a dumb move, but nothing moving really on the price of BHP or Rio. They've been sort of jolting around in one spot for a while. But this is sort of interesting. I'm going to watch this picture at the moment for copper because it is very interesting to me because this is really a very big long-term picture of bullishness. Okay, so again, we don't really concern ourselves too much with the fundamentals. The price is really what we're looking at. That's what they guide us. It's always looking ahead of all the fundamentals and things like that. So that's really going to give us the guide as to whether that might be an opportunity for us down the track a little bit. Okay, then we've got Brent crude. Still struggling a bit, although it has has sort of lifted off these lows again, or it's just really sitting on these lows again. We've got some heavy selling here, and it's still not really driving down too hard. So, interesting one. But the crude stocks aren't doing so well. The Woodsides and the Santos are all pretty sad stories at the moment, and we've got nothing to do with those at the moment anyway. So that's fine. We'll just let this all happen and do what it should do. Okay, so that's really that's the stock pick count, trend intensity ratings, overseas markets. Copper is the sleeper, in there. Okay, so now we're going to have a look at some of our stocks. Okay, firstly I want to go to the big boy, Commonwealth Bank. Okay, it's a huge run. This is what it looks like. It's now come back. It's hit our stop, which was above about 152. So we got out first thing on Monday on this one, and we're seeing a bit of selling here. Nothing overly big at the moment, but the price is going down. We saw some selling here. You can see these arrows here showing these big selling bouts here when the market came down quite a bit. So they were the selling was starting to appear, starting to resist prices, and now we're seeing a little bit more control going to the sellers here in CBA. So we will let this one go and see what happens, okay? It's still a great bank, it's still a great stock, but it is very overvalued, as we know. So as to what happens from here, we don't know. We're out of it, we're neutral, we just let it fall and do what it wants to do. So CBA now, finally, we've seen our run in from December 23. So it's been a pretty good 18-month run from about 110 up to about just over 150 there, which is not a bad return for a big bank like that. Okay, now Qantas is also an interesting one. We've had a really good run on this one here, but it came back pretty sharply this week. Everyone's been wondering why Qantas has been doing so well, but it actually has financially, although Joyce might have done some very strange things, financially it has been not in pretty good shape, announced a good profit, announced some dividends, which has been great. So investors are happy, but here we go, the market's been sold off here. So the market extended well beyond our expectations on this one here for Qantas. So, as I say, we just follow the price, and the price tells us what to do, and at the moment it has been going gangbusters. But now we've just been a little bit of reality check here. We'll see how it finishes the week. It's near our stop, and we'll just have to watch what happens here. So, but it's been a great stock and we're in a great profit. So that might be another one we might have to take out. So there are some stocks we've taken out. We're also looking at a few, maybe some opportunities that may come. So without being too scared or fearful, we just look at the market as it is, and it tells us what to do. So one stock I'm looking at the moment is called Fletcher Building. It's also had a dastardly run down for quite some time, but now we're starting to get this pattern here. Now we're very low here, down around 250 is the lows here. Current price is around 294. We've got this pattern here that's occurred. We've got this big support along through here. We're now seeing the market start to rally on good volume. That's a change. Okay, we can see throughout this whole period of support here, this accumulation pattern here, we've been getting some good activity, which means there's been a good battle between sellers and buyers. And now all of a sudden it looks like the buyers are trying to take control. So we're looking for that downtrend, accumulation, uptrend phase. So still very early on. We can be a bumpy ride to start off with when we get a trend reversal, but we'll watch this one closely because we're in our switch zone. It's above the average now. It's testing that downtrend line. It's also testing the horizontal resistance. So that's three good bits of evidence that we like to use to give us an idea. And these buyers, there's people buying the stock. So that's just clearly just telling you what's happening there, clear as day. So we've also got the downside pressures, which have eased quite a lot. We're almost back to neutral here. So we could be very much in the very early days of Fletcher Building, a new uptrend there. The wheels of changing trend are slowly turning, and that's what happens in a trend reversal, that shift that goes from sellers to buyers. So keep an eye on Fletcher Building. That's one worth watching there, and we'll keep an eye on that for you. Now Linus is another one that hasn't been doing that well for quite some time, but again we've got a downtrend phase. We're getting this accumulation phase, no new lows since February 24th for the last year. It's had a rally, it tried, it's come back. So again, this bumpy ride from a bottoming phase often happens. You've got to be a bit careful this way. Sometimes you might have a shot and get stopped out. That's just the way it is. But we still look at the stock as it is, as it presents itself to us. So we've now got 1, 2, 3 high lows here at the moment. We've got a little bit of volume here appearing. I'll squeeze this up a little bit. You can see these big green bars here. They both coincide with the uptrends, quite sharp upward moves there. So that's the buyers starting to push the sellers out. So again, the shift may be occurring towards the buyers here for Linus. It's still trend intensity rating of -1, so it's moved to neutral, which is very good. But we still need trend reversal confirmation, which won't come till about $8, something like that. So we'll let all this happen in front of us. We'll watch this. We can see the momentum index has come back down to neutral and sitting there okay. Volume's looking interesting, and price action is, well, it's a few high lows there. So this really probably is the key up here for us to watch for Linus. But it looks an interesting one. Again, I'm just trying to give you some things that might be worth looking at and watching, because we will be taking some profit. As I said, we have sort of moved into some cash positions at the moment, so we've got to watch that. The next one I want to look at is Telstra, which is a leader, and it's been quite stable and quite strong. It has come back a bit this week, but nothing really all that bad. We've got some really nice volume here on this upside here, which has been really good. So I quite like the look of Telstra. The yield is okay on it. So it's okay to sit in there for a bit. We've got momentum, which is looking pretty positive. It's above the average. I'd really love it to see up through this R1 period, which is up around 436. So it's looking interesting. Telstra trend intensity rating is +9, which is very, very strong. So all the positives are there. We just need a little bit of confidence in there. So it's looking pretty good to me, Telstra, and holding up pretty well. Who knows what's ahead, but we'll just deal with it day by day as it happens, or I should say week by week, because I don't look at days anymore. Okay, so that's Telstra. Another one I want to look at is Dicker Data, which came into the ASX 200 and came into my group, not that long ago, maybe a year ago. It was a great stock for a long time, yielding well, had a huge rallies. Then it came right back from, I think it came up, it's $17, something was a high up on this one. Maybe about $15.50. But it's also come back now right back down to $8. And here is the low at the moment. $8, a rally, come back again, testing it again. The buyers are holding it here. Let me just squeeze this volume up a little bit. Okay, so we can see, especially recently, there's a bit of buying starting to occur. So again, a bit like Fletcher Building, a bit like Linus, the evidence is starting to build that there's a turn occurring here. I love a kilo of support, and then we get a resistance break or an idea through an area like this switch zone here, where the average is, the downtrend line, and the horizontal line here I've got through here. when I get through there, that gives me an idea that we may well be starting to turn. So it looks interesting, and you find all of a sudden with these stocks, the sellers just disappear. And the buyers start scrambling over each other. That's when you get those moves, and that's what we look for. Now here we've got trend intensity. It's actually still -8, so it's actually still below the average. Momentum's pretty weak. Volume's starting to show some signs, so is price. So a long way down the track, I would think, for Dicker data, but it looks interesting. And as I said, it has the potential to explode, because when you get these sort of patterns here, all of a sudden, as I said, the sellers just give up and say, okay, this isn't going any lower again. We're going to get out of our shorts. We're going to rebuy the stock, and then the buyers jump on as well. So you get that market imbalance of buyers and sellers. So one to watch for you. So I'm just giving you some of these stocks worth looking at. Another one here, there's a big high yields in these stocks, JB Hi-Fi, which we also took out this week. The big high yields in this retail section, so there's a great attraction to get into some of these stocks for some people, and Super Retail Group is certainly one of them. However, we've now seen it come back to this support area here, which is a big long-term support area. It was resistance, now providing support. Okay, so we're sort of watching this area, but I'm just saying what's happened this week. It's really fallen, collapsed from about $16.50, it's now down about $13, which is pretty sharp in a couple of weeks. And we've also got some pretty heavy volume here. Interestingly enough, on this little up week here, we've got a bit of volume there, good volume. So there are buyers there ready to get into this one. But really, the further it falls, the better it is for us. So for the moment, it is falling. And again, the fact of life is the trend intensity rating is 10, which means everything is negative on super cheap autos. So again, you've just got to be careful what we do with these stocks. Catching a falling knife is difficult sometimes and dangerous. So wait till you see support, wait till you see a bit of evidence, not yet for Super Retail Group. Okay, another one which is a new high one, which reversed pretty quickly, which is Coles. Now, again, we can't do much about what the market does. All of a sudden, the market takes control and dominates, get a bit of fear in the market, starts to dominate some stocks. So all of a sudden, it paid its yield, and it's all of a sudden paid its dividend, and all of a sudden it started to come back pretty sharply from a new high. So again, the new high is an odds-on trade, but it doesn't always work. So when it doesn't work, we've got to make sure we don't think it's going to work. We just see where our stop is, and if it goes below our stop, we get out. So that's the important thing. So I will do that with Coles. Trend intensity rating is +7, but of course the risk management overrides it. Remember, when I get into a stock, it's analysis, and it's analysis that gets me in, and risk management that manages the trade. So I'm now in risk management mode with Coles, and my stop tells me what to do. So a big selling day here, this one down. Momentum took a little bit of a bump. It's now come back to the average. So we're in that sort of stage where it might, it may not. So just be careful, watch it. Again, your stop is your Bible here, tells you what to do. Okay, so that's Coles. So that's all the stocks I've really got for you today. The market is difficult, as I said before. We've had a huge run, don't forget that. We've made some good profits. We will take a few small losses at the moment, but that's okay, as long as we're profitable in the ledger, and you can see the returns in the portfolios. The 5 stock and the 10 stock have been out of this world over the last couple of years, which has been fantastic for us. So, it swings and roundabouts. One day, 1 week does not make a market, neither does a month. It's a period, it's over time we work. It's over a long period of time that we look at the stock market. It trends higher over the long term. So that's all we're trying to look at. Okay, so don't worry about a day, a week. If you've got into the market just recently and you need to take some stops, take your hit, but it will come back and you will get your opportunities again at some stage. Okay, so don't worry too much about that. Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about the market and about how we look at it. I mean, now I'm in the same mode as I was a month ago. I still look at the market. I still try and keep my cool and make the right decisions, because that's really important that you do that. You don't panic. You don't think, well, should I move my stop? Should I do that? You shouldn't do that. You should stick to what you're doing. So the cool head will make the cool decisions, okay? So it is now your time to shine. These are the times of markets that really test you. Okay, really challenge you as to what you're going to do, challenge your mind, challenge your trading skills. Okay, so you must risk manage and you must listen to your stops. That's really all you need to do at the moment. So some will fail and some won't. And as you can see, I've still got 39 stocks in there. Some of them are still going up, some of them are near their stops, but we'll just deal with them as it comes week by week. Okay, so you'll come out on top by following your trade plan. That's what it's for. So don't stress, make sure you just do. So if you do listen to your trade plan, you will come out on top over time, and there will be difficult times. So that's just the way life goes, okay? So do the right thing by yourself, because when you do the right thing, you feel better about yourself. When you do the wrong thing, you don't, and you start to get this cloud that hits over your mind. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your mind in a good state, so you don't second guess your stops. You be disciplined. Whether you like it or not, you just do it. There will be managed losses. You will also lock in some profits. Okay, so that's just the way it is. So we're just in that stage now. We've got to be a little bit careful. Okay, so. Cool heads will make the cool decisions, and that's where you need to go. Okay, now let's just have a look here. So I think I've really covered most of the stuff off here. There's a lot of people have taken up my 15 for 12 month offer, which is fantastic. It will close tomorrow night, so that's my last day, the 14th. So if you jump on and get your 3 months before midnight tomorrow, I'll add those. You just put your subscription through, and as soon as it comes through, the team will add 3 months free for you. So that's really about all I've got for you today. I hope you're all safe, and I hope you're all okay. It's interesting times, as I said. We've got Mr. Trump up there just changing this whole world at the moment, and all the governments are doing different things. There's a change going on. It's a bit scary. So we'll just have to wait and see what does happen. So I'm going to sort of close my mind off shortly. I'm going to head off to the track and watch some of these great cars run around and have a bit of fun over there, have some nice food and a couple of drinks, and enjoy myself, and not worry too much about what's going to happen for the rest of the day. So everything will be all right as long as you stick to your plan. Okay, you need it now. It's really important that you follow it. Opportunities are going to come along. Stocks like BHP, Supercheap, Cheap Auto, many more are on our watch list to look at them. Okay, the stock market behaviour never changes. We just need to know what to do at certain times. Okay, so this time is different to what we had a few months ago. Okay, when we were just running, the stock market was just going higher and higher and higher. All of a sudden it changes. Okay, not a time to panic, just a time to think and do and be poised. Okay, well, look, good luck for everybody over the next week or so. Watch your trends. Make sure you heed your stops. Keep it simple, as I do always. Have fun and stay safe. Okay, so I'll see you all next week for another bout, and who knows where we'll be, but just be careful out there. Okay, thanks very much, and I'll see you next week.